The ocean was darker than midnight, stretching endlessly like a black canvas sprinkled with the faint shimmer of distant stars above. Captain Lena Drake peered through the reinforced glass of the submarine's cockpit, her eyes adjusting to the muted glow of the deep-sea lights. Below them, ancient shadows drifted among the ocean currents, remains of ships that had long been forgotten by time. "This area hasn't been fully mapped," said Dr. Ryan Sato, the team's marine archaeologist, adjusting the sonar readings. "But these readings, they're unusual. Some of the wrecks are emitting energy." Lena frowned, gripping the control console. Energy? From shipwrecks? She had studied deep-sea anomalies before, but nothing like this. "What kind of energy?" Dr. Sato shook his head. "I don't know yet. It's faint, but steady. Almost like a heartbeat." The crew, a mix of explorers, scientists, and engineers, exchanged uneasy glances. Deep below the surface, far from the sun and any other human presence, anything seemed possible. Some of the wrecks were massive, ancient trading ships from centuries past, their hulls decayed but still intact enough to suggest stories frozen in time. "Prepare the drones," Lena ordered. "We need visual confirmation before we go any deeper." Mechanical hums filled the cockpit as the small, remote-controlled drones were launched into the water. They glided like silent fish, their cameras transmitting images back to the submarine. On the screens, the wrecks looked both beautiful and eerie. Barnacles clung to the hulls, and seaweed drifted slowly in the currents, yet faint lights shimmered within the cabins of some ships. "That's impossible," whispered one of the engineers, Marco Silva. "There shouldn't be lights this deep, not without human interference." The team moved closer, the submarine's lights cutting through the water like blades. Lena felt a shiver run down her spine. The ocean here was ancient, untouched, and full of secrets. As they approached the largest wreck, a massive galleon, the hull seemed to pulse faintly, as if the ship itself were alive. Lena leaned forward. "Do you see that?" Dr. Sato nodded slowly. "It's almost like the ship remembers something." Before anyone could respond, a faint whisper echoed through the submarine's hull. Lena froze. Did anyone else hear that?" The crew turned toward one another, eyes wide. The whisper came again, soft but distinct, almost human in tone. "It's the water. It's echoing," suggested Marco, but his voice lacked conviction. "No," said Lena firmly. "That wasn't an echo. It sounded like someone speaking, someone very old." The submarine hovered near the entrance to the galleon's deck. Rusted chains swayed slowly with the ocean currents, and broken sails fluttered like frozen shadows. Lena activated the small side door, preparing to send in a scout team. "We go in slow," she instructed. "Keep the cameras rolling. Anything unusual, report immediately." The crew of 3 volunteers suited up and began their descent into the galleon. Their lights cut through the dark corridors, revealing wooden beams scarred by centuries of pressure and decay. Everything smelled of salt and old timber. "Look at these carvings," whispered Dr. Sato. He pointed to intricate markings on the walls of the captain's cabin. They seemed almost alive, twisting in patterns that mimicked waves. "I've never seen anything like this. These carvings, they're not just decorative. They tell a story." As they moved deeper, the air inside the submarine seemed to grow heavier, though they were still underwater. The whispering grew louder, more coherent. Lena, observing from the cockpit, felt it too, a faint vibration against the glass, as though the ship itself were trying to communicate. "Captain, you need to see this," Dr. Sato said, his voice trembling slightly. On the drone screens, shadowy figures appeared, vague forms of sailors dressed in centuries-old uniforms, drifting silently through the cabins. "What? What is that? Lena asked, unable to look away. I think they're echoes, Dr. Sato said slowly. Like recordings of the people who were here, but somehow they're still moving. The crew stared in awe and fear. The shadows did not interact with the divers directly, but they seemed aware, watching them with invisible eyes. One of the figures raised its hand slowly, pointing toward the captain's quarters. Stay calm, Lena said, though her own heart pounded. We are here to observe, not interfere. Suddenly, the submarine's sensors went wild. Lights flickered, machinery beeped in alarm, and communications crackled with static. Lena's hands flew over the console, stabilizing the systems, but the readings were unlike anything they had encountered before. Captain, something is affecting the electronics, Marco shouted. I see it, Lena replied. It's coming from the galleon. Whatever is in there, it's not just memories. It's energy, something alive in a sense. The shadowy figures shifted as if sensing the crew's panic. One drifted closer, its outline becoming more human-like, and it whispered words that no one could understand. Lena felt a chill run through her body. We need to retreat, she said firmly. Back to the submarine. But as the divers turned to leave, the chamber door slammed shut, or perhaps the water currents forced it so. They were trapped for a moment, suspended in the ancient darkness with the ghosts of the sailors. The whispering grew louder, forming distinct phrases in old languages, voices overlapping in a chorus of long-lost stories. Lena felt a strange connection, as though she could almost understand their fear, their hope, their courage in the face of storms and battles long past. Captain, I think they want something, Dr. Sato said, his voice barely audible over the hum of failing equipment. What do they want? Lena asked. I don't know. Recognition? To be remembered? The divers finally managed to open a side hatch and swim back toward the safety of the submarine. As they entered, the whispers faded, leaving only the echo of the ocean's vast emptiness. Lena exhaled heavily. That was real, she said. Not hallucinations, not echoes of the water. They're memories, preserved, somehow alive. Dr. Sato nodded. And this is only one ship. There are dozens more like this, some much older, much larger. Lena's mind raced. If the energy in the ships was capable of preserving the consciousness or memory of people for centuries, what did it mean for humanity? Could other civilizations have done this before them? Could humans themselves leave echoes behind, long after they were gone? Set a course to map the rest of the area, Lena commanded. But proceed carefully. We're not just exploring shipwrecks. We're entering a place where the past refuses to die. As the submarine moved slowly through the dark waters, Lena gazed at the ghostly shapes of the ships below. For the first time, she realized that humanity's courage and spirit could leave marks that survived even the depths of time. And somewhere, deep in the remains of the galleon, the shadows of sailors watched and waited, their stories ready to unfold. The ocean held its breath, and so did Lena Drake. The submarine drifted silently over the dark ocean floor, its lights cutting through the black water like knives. Captain Lena Drake sat in the cockpit, her eyes glued to the sonar screens. Each blip represented a shipwreck, some smaller and broken, others massive, their outlines more like shadows than objects. Are you sure these readings are correct? Asked Marco Silva, the engineer, pointing at a display showing faint energy pulses. They are, said Dr. Rian Sato, his voice tense but calm. Whatever is in these wrecks is remarkable. The pulses are rhythmic, almost alive. Lena frowned. Alive? You mean, like the galleon we saw yesterday? Yes, said Dr. Sato, but not in the way we understand life. These ships, they carry memories, imprints of people who were aboard, Their courage, fear, and stories are somehow preserved in energy. Lena swallowed hard. The ocean had always been mysterious, but this was different. They were not just exploring old wrecks, they were stepping into the echoes of humanity itself. "Prepare the drones," Lena ordered. "We need a full survey of this site. Let's see what else is down there." The drones glided forward, their lights illuminating ancient decks and broken hulls. Some wrecks were simple trading ships, others massive war galleons. Shadows moved across their paths, flickering in ways that no normal reflection could explain. "Look at that one," said Dr. Sato, pointing to a tall, elegant ship partially buried in sand. "It's active. The energy is stronger here, and the shadows, they're moving." "Moving?" asked Marco, frowning. "Are you saying ghosts?" Dr. Sato hesitated, then nodded. "If we call them that, yes. But they are not spirits in the usual sense. They are imprints, memories, somehow preserved by the energy in these ships." Lena felt a chill run down her spine. "So they are echoes of the people who died here?" "Yes," Dr. Sato replied, "and I think some of them are aware. They can sense us." The submarine approached the ship slowly. Lena could see faint figures drifting along the deck. They were translucent, their movements fluid but hesitant. One seemed to be a young sailor, adjusting sails, unaware of the centuries around him. Another was older, standing at the helm, staring into the darkness as if expecting a storm. "They're alive in their own way," whispered Marco. Dr. Sato nodded. "And they remember everything." The team decided to send a small scouting party into the wreck. Lena watched carefully as the divers descended, their lights cutting through the water. Inside the ship, the walls were decorated with carvings and paintings that told stories of battles, storms, and daily life aboard the vessel. "This is incredible," said one diver. "It's like stepping into the past." As they moved deeper, the whispers returned, growing louder and clearer. The divers paused, listening to words they did not understand, but somehow felt. Fear, hope, and courage echoed in the tones. "They're speaking," said Dr. Sato. "But not to us. To themselves, perhaps, reliving their memories." Suddenly, a figure appeared before them, a ghostly captain, standing tall in the center of the cabin. His eyes, though transparent, seemed to lock onto Lena's divers through the cameras. He raised a hand, pointing toward a sealed door at the back of the ship. "What is he showing us?" asked one of the divers. "It's a guide," Dr. Sato said slowly. "Some of these imprints are intelligent. They want us to see something." The divers followed the direction, reaching the sealed door. Inside, they found a room filled with strange devices, unlike anything human technology had ever produced. Crystals glowed softly, and beams of light pulsed across the walls. The air, though underwater, seemed to shimmer. "Energy core," whispered Dr. Sato. "This is what preserves them. The memories, the echoes, everything." As the divers examined the devices, the ghostly figures around them began to move faster, as if urging them to understand. Shadows of sailors appeared to act out scenes, tying ropes, raising sails, and preparing for storms. One shadow even reenacted a moment of heroism, saving a crew member from falling overboard. "It's like history in motion," said Marco. "We're watching their lives." But not all was peaceful. Some figures seemed angry or frightened, lashing out at the divers. Equipment sparked, and sonar readings fluctuated wildly. Lena, observing from the cockpit, realized the energy was unstable. "They are reactive," she said. "Some are calm, some are defensive." "Yes," Dr. Sato replied. "They're trapped. Some may never rest until their stories are fully acknowledged." The divers retreated slowly, careful not to disturb the room, but the largest shadow, the captain, followed them, pointing toward another part of the ship. It was a warning, not a threat. Back in the submarine, Lena tried to make sense of it all. So these ghosts, or echoes, are memories that refuse to fade. Some are peaceful, some are protective. And this energy, it's the key. Dr. Sato nodded. Yes, and if we can understand it, we may unlock centuries of human history. We could learn about courage, bravery, and human spirit preserved in these wrecks. Or we could wake something we shouldn't, said Marco, frowning. Lena took a deep breath. We are explorers. Our job is to observe, learn, and respect what we find. We cannot ignore this. As they moved toward the next wreck, the ocean grew darker, the pressure heavier. Each ship seemed different, each echo unique. One displayed scenes of sailors celebrating a successful voyage, another of sailors struggling in a violent storm, yet another of a crew standing bravely against enemies long forgotten. The team began to understand the magnitude of their discovery. These were not just ghosts. They were windows into the human spirit across centuries. Courage, loyalty, sacrifice, all preserved in ways they could not fully comprehend. Suddenly, the largest ghost from the galleon appeared on the submarine's external cameras. It loomed over the hull, massive and shadowy, almost as if inspecting them. The crew held their breath. Its presence was not threatening, yet it commanded attention. "Captain," Dr. Sato said, voice tense, "it's different. It's aware of us, watching, judging." Lena nodded. "We observe. We don't provoke. Let's keep moving." The submarine advanced, carefully mapping the wrecks. Each echo seemed to respond differently. Some ignored them, others moved with them, almost guiding their path. Lena realized they were not simply witnessing the past, they were interacting with it. By the end of the day, the team had documented multiple ships and dozens of ghostly echoes. The energy readings were stronger in some ships, weaker in others. Each wreck held its own story, waiting to be understood. "Captain," Marco said quietly, "do you think these echoes are all human? Or could there be more unknown civilizations trapped in these wrecks?" Lena considered. "If there are, we will find out. But for now, we focus on what we can learn. These echoes are teaching us courage, resilience, and humanity itself. That is worth everything." As the submarine returned to a safer depth for the night, Lena looked down at the glowing wrecks beneath them. Shadows moved slowly across the ocean floor, repeating lives long gone, waiting for recognition. She felt a deep respect for them, and a quiet hope that humanity could one day understand the courage that endured in these silent guardians of the deep. The ocean was still, yet beneath its surface, the echoes of the past whispered on, waiting, watching, and holding the stories of those who had lived and loved, fought and dreamed centuries before. And somewhere in the darkness, the captain of the galleon watched, aware that humans had finally noticed his world. The submarine moved slowly through the endless dark, its lights cutting paths across the scattered skeletons of ancient ships. Captain Lena Drake leaned forward, eyes fixed on the readings. Each wreck carried its own pulse, a faint but distinct energy that seemed almost alive. "This one is different," Dr. Ryan Sato said, pointing to a massive ship, larger than any they had seen before. The energy readings spiked. "It's older, much older, possibly over 1,000 years. Lena's brow furrowed. "Older than any record we have of these trade routes. Are you saying humans from that long ago could harness this energy?" Dr. Sato nodded slowly. "Not just harness. They may have preserved life itself, or at least the essence of those who lived on these ships." Marco Silva, the engineer, frowned. "Preserved life? You mean ghosts?" Dr. Sato shook his head. Not exactly. Think of it as memory stored in energy. Some of these imprints are aware. They can sense us. They can interact with the world in their way. Lena took a deep breath. And some of them are not happy? Yes, Sato said. Some echoes are defensive. Some may be hostile. But all are trapped, reliving the last moments of their lives over and over. The team approached the largest wreck. Its outline was vast, stretching over the ocean floor like a sleeping giant. Ghostly shapes moved across the deck, reenacting moments of courage, fear, and loyalty. The echoes of long-dead sailors seemed alive, yet distant, separated by centuries and by a strange energy that anchored them to their final moments. "Look at this," Dr. Sato said, guiding the divers to the captain's quarters. "These carvings, they tell a story. They show humans exploring beyond their world, trading with civilizations we never knew existed. Some of these ships may have carried knowledge from a human lineage older than history records." Lena felt a chill. "Are you saying humans in the past were space travelers?" Dr. Sato nodded. "Possibly. Or at least they were connected to civilizations beyond Earth. These ships, the technology, it's beyond our current understanding. And the energy is the key. It preserved the people, their memories, their courage." As the divers explored the ship, shadows shifted around them. Figures acted out their final moments, tying ropes, securing cargo, preparing for storms. Some figures were frantic, others calm. Lena watched the screens from the cockpit, heart pounding. "This one, the captain," Marco said, pointing at a large shadow. "He's different. Watching us." "Yes," Dr. Sato said. "He knows we are here. He may be trying to guide us." The divers moved cautiously through the corridors, following the shadow's silent guidance. They reached a sealed chamber deep within the ship. Inside, glowing crystals pulsed, casting light across strange devices. Beams of energy connected the walls to a central core. "This is it," Dr. Sato whispered. "The source, the energy core. This is what preserves them." The divers could feel a strange warmth, a vibration in the water that seemed almost alive. Shadows of sailors moved through the room, reenacting final acts of heroism and sacrifice. One shadow saved a crew member from falling overboard. Another shouted warnings about an approaching storm. "They're teaching us," said one of the divers. "Their courage, their choices. It's like a lesson." But not all echoes were peaceful. Some swirled aggressively around the divers, sparks of energy making their equipment flicker. Lena's heart pounded. She realized the energy was unstable. A misstep could trigger chaos. "They react to us," she said. "Some are calm, some not. We need to be careful." Back in the cockpit, Lena studied the sonar. The largest ship's ghost loomed over them, massive and shadowy. It seemed alive, aware, almost as if it were judging them. "Captain," Dr. Sato said, voice tense, "if we understand this energy, we may unlock human history older than we imagined. But if we make a mistake, we could lose everything, including ourselves." Lena nodded. "We observe. We learn. We respect. Nothing more." The team continued their survey. Each wreck held a unique story. Some were peaceful echoes of daily life. Others replayed moments of battle, storms, or sacrifice. Lena realized these were not just ghosts. They were windows into humanity itself. Courage, loyalty, sacrifice, preserved for centuries. As they approached a cluster of smaller ships, the energy readings fluctuated. Shadows flickered violently, and the whispers of sailors overlapped in a chaotic chorus. Lena's pulse quickened. Something was wrong. "They're warning us," Dr. Sato said, "or reacting to something nearby. There may be a pattern, a reason why some echoes are calm and others are chaotic." Suddenly, the largest ghost from the first galleon appeared on the external cameras, hovering above the submarine. Its presence was enormous, commanding but not hostile. Lena realized it was observing, waiting for them to understand. "Do you think it's intelligent?" Marco asked quietly. "Yes," Dr. Sato said. "Some echoes are aware. They can guide us, warn us, or even teach us. But they are not alive in our sense. They are memories preserved in energy." Lena thought about what they had seen so far. Humans of the past, preserved in energy, reliving their courage and decisions. The echoes were trapped, but also remarkable. They carried lessons about humanity, bravery, loyalty, and resilience that had survived centuries. As the submarine moved deeper into the wreck field, Lena noticed a pattern. The largest wrecks had the strongest energy, the most active echoes. The smaller, older ships were quieter, almost dormant. The team realized that the energy might degrade over time, but the larger cores preserved more complex imprints. "Captain," Dr. Sato said, pointing at a map, "these wrecks form a network. The energy pulses connect them, like nodes in a chain. Some form stronger connections, like the memories themselves are linked." Lena's mind raced. "So, these echoes are not just isolated. They may communicate in some way through the energy?" "Yes," Sato said. "That could explain why some react aggressively. They sense us disturbing the network, and some may be guiding us, trying to teach what they remember." The divers reached another chamber filled with crystals and devices similar to the first. The echoes here were calmer, acting out daily life instead of chaos. One shadow tended a small garden of plants in the captain's quarters. Another polished the decks. "It's beautiful," whispered Marco. "They're showing us life, not just death." Dr. Sato nodded. "And through it, we understand their courage. Even in small acts, they demonstrate resilience. That is the essence of humanity." But a sudden surge of energy caused the submarine to shake. Warnings flashed across the screens. Shadows of sailors swirled violently, overlapping, and the whispers grew louder, almost deafening. Lena gripped the console. "They're reacting," she said. "Some are upset. Some are trying to communicate. We need to stabilize the core." The divers carefully avoided the center of the room, observing the crystals. Dr. Sato theorized that careful interaction with the energy might calm the echoes. Lena instructed them to proceed slowly, documenting everything. The largest ghost captain appeared again, this time inside the energy room. His figure was immense, his gaze fixed on the divers. He raised a hand, and the chaotic echoes began to calm, forming lines and patterns. "They respond to him," Dr. Sato said. "He is a leader, an anchor for the others." Lena realized the truth. These echoes were not simply memories. They were remnants of civilization, preserved through courage, knowledge, and energy. The captain's presence stabilized the entire network, teaching the team a vital lesson. Respect, patience, and understanding were needed to interact with these echoes safely. As the submarine rose to a safer depth, Lena reflected on the day's discoveries. Humans of the past had achieved remarkable things. Their courage and spirit persisted, not just in books or stories, but in energy, in the very essence of life preserved in these wrecks. "We are witnessing history," she said quietly, "not just as records, but as living memory." Dr. Sato nodded. "And if we are careful, we may learn more than we ever imagined. Not just about their lives, but about what it means to be human." The submarine glided through the black water, surrounded by silent shadows of the past. The echoes of courage, loyalty, and hope floated around them, waiting, teaching, and watching. Somewhere, the captain of the galleon drifted above, observing, ensuring that the memories of his crew were honored. Lena knew that their mission was only beginning. And far below, the ocean held its breath, guarding secrets of human courage that had endured the passage of time. The submarine hovered silently above the massive wreck, lights cutting through the dark, cold water. Captain Lena Drake tightened her grip on the console. The energy readings were higher than ever. Pulses from the ancient ships flowed like a heartbeat across the ocean floor, resonating through the hull. "Captain, the energy? It's growing," said Dr. Ryan Sato, staring at the monitor. "The echoes are reacting to us." Lena's jaw tightened. "We've seen reactions before, but this feels different." "Something is building." Marco Silva adjusted the controls nervously. "Systems are fluctuating, power surges, sonar readings off the charts. The ships are active in ways we don't understand." "Prepare the drones," Lena ordered. "We need to map the energy flow before it becomes unstable." The drones glided into the largest wreck. Ghostly shapes moved around them, sailors from centuries past, frozen in moments of courage and fear, replaying their final hours. Shadows of men and women tugged ropes, braced against imaginary storms, and whispered words the divers could not understand. "These imprints," Marco whispered, voice trembling. "They're alive in their memories. They're reliving it all." "Yes," Dr. Sato replied. "And some of them sense us. The energy core. It's their anchor. When it pulses stronger, their actions become more vivid. They are warning us, or guiding us." Lena's mind raced. She had never encountered anything like this. Humans of the past, preserved in energy, replaying courage, fear, and loyalty as if their lives depended on it. Because in a way, they did. Their stories had survived centuries to teach those who would come after. The divers moved deeper into the ship, following the ghostly captain who appeared to guide them. Shadows shifted around them, acting out bravery in the face of storms, threats, and impossible odds. One shadow even reached for the divers, as if sharing strength. "It's incredible," said one of the divers. "They're showing us how to be courageous." But not all was calm. Some echoes reacted violently. Equipment flickered and alarms beeped as shadows spun and surged through the corridors. A diver's suit briefly lost power before stabilizing. Lena's heart pounded in her chest. "They're unstable," Dr. Sato said. "Some are calm, some are defensive. The energy is unpredictable." Suddenly, a massive shadow moved across the hull. It was the captain from the first galleon, enormous and imposing. The submarine shook as the pulse of energy intensified. "Brace yourselves," Lena commanded. "This is going to get intense." The divers reported that the room housing the energy core was glowing brighter, beams of light connecting crystals and devices. Shadows of sailors moved faster, replaying final acts of heroism, saving comrades, steering through storms, and shouting warnings. "They're alive in spirit," Marco said. "Not just memories. They're teaching us." "Yes," Dr. Sato agreed. "And we are students." The largest captain raised a hand. The violent echoes began to calm, forming patterns and lines as though guided by his presence. Lena realized that this captain was the anchor for all the other imprints, the leader whose courage had preserved them. "This is remarkable," she whispered. "We're not just observing. We're interacting with courage itself." But the energy was unstable. The submarine's instruments detected sudden surges. A warning beep sounded. The shadows flickered violently. Lena knew they had to act carefully. "Divers, move slowly," she instructed. "Observe, don't disturb, record everything." The divers entered the chamber where the energy core pulsed brightest. Crystals glowed with warmth, beams of light stretching across the walls. Shadows of sailors moved around them, reenacting moments of bravery. One shadow leaped to save a falling crew member, another stood firm against an unseen storm. "It's beautiful," Marco whispered. "They're showing courage, not fear." But then the energy surged again. The submarine shook violently. Alarms blared and sonar readings went wild. Shadows overlapped, creating chaos. Lena felt the weight of centuries pressing down, the lives of countless sailors trapped in repeated moments of bravery and desperation. "They're reacting to us," Dr. Sato said. "Some are frightened, some are defensive. We need to stabilize the core." Lena nodded. "We do it carefully, respectfully, no sudden movements." The divers adjusted their path, moving around the core, documenting every detail. The largest captain appeared inside the chamber, his figure immense and commanding. He raised his hand, and the chaotic echoes began to align, forming patterns of calm and order. "They respond to him," Dr. Sato said. "He is their anchor, their leader. He guides them, even after centuries." Lena realized the truth. These echoes were more than memory. They were remnants of civilization, preserved through courage, skill, and willpower. The captain's presence stabilized the network, showing the team how courage could endure even the passage of centuries. The divers moved carefully through the room, observing the echoes' interactions. Some figures replayed daily life aboard the ship, repairing sails, preparing meals, tending small gardens in the captain's quarters. Others acted out heroic moments, facing storms, fire, and danger with unwavering determination. "It's inspiring," Marco said softly. "Even after centuries, their courage is alive." "Yes," Dr. Sato replied, "and that is the essence of humanity. Courage, resilience, and loyalty, preserved through energy. Their stories teach us even now." Suddenly, a surge of energy caused the submarine to shake violently again. Alarms flashed across the console, shadows overlapped chaotically, and the whispers grew louder, almost deafening. Lena gripped the console tightly. "They're overwhelmed," Dr. Sato said. "The energy is unstable. Too many imprints are active at once." Lena realized that the core was reacting to both their presence and the cumulative energy of the echoes. If they didn't stabilize it, the energy could damage their systems, or worse, harm the divers. "Divers, focus on observation," Lena instructed. "Do not touch the core. We need to understand, not interfere." The divers recorded the interactions, careful not to disturb the patterns. Slowly, the largest captain raised his hand again. The chaotic echoes began to calm, moving in synchronized patterns. Shadows that had been violent moments ago now acted with purpose, replaying acts of courage in sequence. "They are teaching us order," Marco whispered. "Even chaos can be guided by courage." Dr. Sato nodded. "And we are witnessing it. Humanity's courage preserved through energy, lessons from the past, teaching the present." Lena felt a swell of pride. These echoes were not just memories. They were proof that courage endures. Even after centuries, human bravery and loyalty could be felt, observed, and learned from. As the submarine rose to a safer depth, Lena reflected on the day's discoveries. Humans of the past had achieved remarkable things. Their courage and spirit persisted, not just in records or stories, but in energy, in the very essence of life preserved in these wrecks. "We are witnessing history," she said quietly, "not just as records, but as living memory." Dr. Sato nodded. "And if we are careful, we may learn more than we ever imagined, not just about their lives, but about what it means to be human." The submarine glided through the black water, surrounded by silent shadows of the past. The echoes of courage, loyalty, and hope floated around them, waiting, teaching, and watching. Somewhere, the captain of the galleon drifted above, observing, ensuring that the memories of his crew were honored. Lena knew that their mission was only beginning, and far below, the ocean held its breath, guarding secrets of human courage that had endured the passage of time. The submarine hovered in the black depths, the lights casting long beams across the scattered wrecks. Captain Lena Drake looked at the energy readings. The pulses from the massive ships had grown stronger, more complex, and far more powerful than anything the team had seen before. "Captain," Dr. Ryan Sato said, voice tight with excitement and concern, "the energy from the core, it's reaching critical levels. If we don't stabilize it, it could destroy the wrecks, maybe even harm the submarine." Lena clenched her fists. "We can't let that happen. Not after everything we've discovered. Those echoes, their stories, they must survive." Marco Silva adjusted the submarine's stabilizers. "We can try a controlled interaction. Slow, careful, we guide them instead of pushing." "But it's risky." Lena nodded. "Then we do it. We respect them, but we act. Prepare the drones and divers." The divers entered the largest wreck again, moving through corridors illuminated by the soft glow of ghostly sailors. Shadows of the past replayed scenes of courage, duty, and resilience. Some figures moved frantically, responding to the unstable energy. Others remained calm, carrying out their daily tasks as if nothing had changed. "They know we're here," whispered one of the divers. "I think they're waiting for something." "Yes," Dr. Sato replied. "They want acknowledgement, recognition. They want their stories to be remembered. And perhaps they want peace." The largest captain, the anchor of the echoes, appeared before the divers. His figure was tall, strong, and commanding. He raised a hand, and the chaotic shadows began to calm. The waves of energy shifted in patterns, like a heartbeat synchronizing with theirs. "This is it," Lena thought. "We have to stabilize the core and free them. Safely." The divers and drones worked in unison, documenting the energy flow, observing the behavior of the echoes, and carefully mapping the pulses. Each movement had to be precise. Any mistake could trigger chaos. The largest captain drifted beside the divers, guiding them toward the central chamber. The energy core glowed brighter than ever, beams of light stretching across the walls, connecting crystals and devices. Lena could feel the vibrations through the hull, a rhythm almost alive, almost human. "Focus on the flow," she instructed. "Do not touch the crystals directly. We are facilitators, not controllers." The divers followed the captain's guidance, moving in harmony with the pulses of energy. The chaotic shadows calmed, forming lines and sequences. Each echo seemed to understand that the humans meant no harm. They replayed acts of bravery in perfect synchronization, sailors saving comrades, holding fast against storms, standing together against impossible odds. "It's like a lesson," Marco whispered. "They're teaching us what courage means." "Yes," Dr. Sato replied. "And this is the culmination. We are witnessing the essence of humanity preserved for centuries. The echoes, they're more than memory. They're inspiration." Suddenly, a surge of energy shook the submarine. Alarms blared, lights flickered, and sonar readings spiked. Some shadows swirled violently, overlapping and clashing. Lena's heart raced. "They're unstable again," Dr. Sato said. "We need to act quickly." Lena gave firm instructions. "Divers, follow the captain. Guide the chaos toward the core. Stabilize the energy flow without touching the devices. Marco, adjust the hull stabilizers to dampen the vibrations." The divers moved carefully, following the captain's hand gestures and ghostly signals. Slowly, the chaotic shadows began to align, moving in patterns that reflected acts of courage and loyalty. The echoes responded to the team's careful guidance, and the energy readings began to normalize. "It's working," Marco said, relief in his voice. "The pulses are stabilizing." "Yes," Lena agreed. "We're helping them find peace." The largest captain raised his hand one final time. All shadows paused, frozen in a moment of collective acknowledgement. For a heartbeat. The submarine was surrounded by silence, as if the ocean itself were holding its breath. Then the echoes slowly began to fade, leaving behind shimmering trails of light that lingered like the memory of a heartbeat. "They're free," whispered Dr. Sato. "The energy has stabilized and the echoes can finally rest." The divers returned to the submarine, awed and speechless. Marco shook his head. "I've never seen anything like it. Their courage, it's still alive, even after centuries." Lena smiled softly. "And it always will be. We've witnessed it. We've recorded it. Humanity's spirit endures, even in the depths of the ocean." The submarine rose slowly toward shallower waters, the wrecks fading beneath them like shadows returning to sleep. Lena watched the sonar, noting the gentle pulsing of energy that still lingered, a reminder that the echoes of courage could never truly be erased. Dr. Sato turned to her, a glint of wonder in his eyes. "Think about it, Captain. We've unlocked centuries of human spirit preserved in energy. Their bravery, their loyalty, their perseverance. It's here for us to learn from for future generations." "Yes," Lena agreed, "and we must honor it, by learning, by sharing, and by never forgetting the courage of those who came before us." Marco laughed softly, shaking his head in disbelief. "I didn't expect to meet ghosts today, but somehow I feel like I have, and they've taught me more about bravery than any history book ever could." Lena looked out through the submarine's glass at the dark ocean stretching below. Somewhere, deep in the black waters, the shadows of sailors rested finally, their stories acknowledged, their courage remembered. "We should record everything," she said firmly. "Maps, readings, energy flows, and every story we saw. This knowledge, it's priceless. It belongs to humanity." Dr. Sato nodded. "And we will. Their courage will guide us, inspire us, and remind us of what it means to be human." The submarine continued its ascent, leaving behind the silent, glowing wrecks. Lena felt a profound sense of fulfillment. The crew had not only explored the depths of the ocean, but had glimpsed the depths of human courage and resilience. Suddenly, a faint shimmer appeared on the sonar, another cluster of ghostly ships far in the distance, pulsing gently with energy. Lena's eyes widened. "It never ends," she said quietly. "There's more out there, waiting for us to learn. To understand, to remember." Dr. Sato smiled. "And we will, one step at a time, one story at a time." Marco grinned. "Adventure never stops, does it, Captain?" Lena shook her head, smiling. "No, Marco. Humanity never stops, and neither does courage." As the submarine broke the surface, the sun began to rise over the ocean, casting warm light over the waves. The shadows of the past had finally been honored, their lessons preserved, their courage remembered. Humanity had not only explored the ocean depths, but had connected with its own enduring spirit. The ocean was vast, mysterious, and eternal. But so was the courage of those who had sailed its waters long ago. And through careful observation, respect, and understanding, humanity had proven once again that it could rise to any challenge, honor any legacy, and preserve the essence of life itself. Lena Drake watched the horizon, knowing that the journey was only the beginning. Out there in the dark depths, more stories waited to be discovered, more courage waited to be honored, and more echoes of humanity waited to inspire those who dared to listen. The ocean held its breath, and for the first time, it felt as if the humans who had once sailed its waters were smiling back.